Force 30, the 30th episode. We begin not where we left off, but with Fjersengard and Donna Troy. I know it's been a while, upwards of 10 seconds, but you might recall Fjersengard was being creepy, thus hindering his ability to kill some man-fly being ugly. Well, of course the flyman takes advantage of his troubles and flies off to develop himself as a villain before the proper climax. And Hardy Extra 2 walks off to, confront him in the next scene, where she learns that turning into a fly has made Extra Lad look like a tired drug addict. Oh, and back on the moon, Rainbow Joe's still all, "What is the deal with you students having a time-space portal to a base on the moon?" And then the camera shakes the ground like it's Star Trek. I don't know why. Moonquake? One intro sequence later, we're looking at the show's main villain, the Green-Eyed Man. And he's all like, "Well, gee whiz, Orko. All I want are some boss space monster generals. Is that too much to ask?" Orko tells him not to worry, as he's picked out the villain for this arc, and there's no way a third-tier general to the boss villain of a show like this can fail more than 15 times. Which brings us back again to the moon, where Rainbow Joe has been fully filled in on the plot of the show. Of course, he doesn't let a little thing like defending the Earth against freaky-ass space monsters take priority over his job, so he tries to head back and report his students for fighting evil in an unsupervised club. Forget the matters of national or even planetary security, what matters is they have an official club together. Well, at least Hot Dog Robot isn't biting his ass again. I suppose I would rather see that. Elsewhere, in a darker room that surely sets the tone for the scene, Donna Troy gets a call from Daft Punk. He tells Troy that a space monster popped up outside the school. Troy responds, "But I just came up with a reason why they only showed up at the school. It's because the school is under the influence of the hole." Daft Punk replies, "Relieve the hole. Just go check it out." Somewhere else, Hardy Extra 2 is searching for the name chain, which I forgot to mention Human Fly throughout earlier. Fjersengard wants to help her look, but he has to get told off first so he can find the thing after hours of searching afterward and thus win the heart of Hardy Extra 2 despite being creepy. While that plays out, Donna Troy visits his old school. He's an actual high school student? I thought he had some 21 Jump Street shit going on. I mean, every flashback he's had of his supposed school days was some sort of kung fu monastery. Well, that's how it is, I suppose. He's a proper transfer student. Donna Troy finds it surprising that his old high school chums are standing him off, and he knows people besides Team Fjersengard, Daft Punk, and that guy in a coma? What the hell? I feel like we've spent a quarter of every episode on this guy for no reason. Sensing that I don't want more backstory out of him, Donna Troy spots Orko, which immediately leads to violence. Actually, Troy's kicking Orko's ass until he turns into Lucy, at which point Orko teases, "We're being shipped and there's nothing you can do about it." Was that his voice? I already forget. Who cares? Being a girl now, Troy can't hit Orko on screen. How very troublesome. Well, elsewhere, again, in a darker scene, Extra Lad is flipping out because, girls seem to like him. I don't think bullying works the way he thinks it works. Meanwhile, later, Hardy Extra 2 is confronting Rainbow Joe for being in the episode. Actually, it's a misunderstanding where she thinks he's a space monster, but he's not, and that will go nowhere. At least until Extra Lad slips like a fly onto the scene. Having yelled at the girls who were hitting on him earlier, Extra Lad is now satisfied with his levels of villainy. So he turns into a monster one last time. Rainbow Joe flees the scene like a boring douchebag, but Muska Mike chases after him. Already down to Latin. Shit. Well, luckily Fjersengard is there because his protagonist sense tingled. So he's chasing right after Fly Rinse Olivier. To his credit, Fjersengard's trying things besides springs this time. He's using his vacuum cleaner foot and poop scooper arm, and as a last resort he uses his helicopter arm / machine gun foot combination, but even those last resort actually useful things aren't working out. It seems he does need a new gadget to face Flyboy's the painish swarm move thing. Luckily, Rainbow Joe grabbed that new gadget he needs earlier, so he tosses it over, and it's a net. Well, at least it's an energy net that projects from a butterfly catcher on his foot. Of course it works, and Fjersengard's about to finish off the monster, but Boring Douchebag stops him. Boring Douchebag tells Fjersengard that the monster has to come to terms with his addiction to space power before he can be killed. Because otherwise Extra Lad's soul will be shattered, despite that not being how it's worked in 29 episodes. Guard buys it, despite it not being how it's worked for 29 episodes, and holds off on finishing the Sly Fly. Howdy Extra 2 walks up to open Extra Lad's heart by saying she'll stop giving a shit about him. Because his deal was being paranoid about being protected because he's a self-centered douche. Knowing that he can finally have his way is enough for the monster to be restored to a semi-sane monster, so it's okay now for Fjosengard to kill him. So he does that. And afterwards, when all is well, the extra pair ask Team Fjosengard to be recurring characters on the show. The best they get is from boring douchebag who tells them, "You can be like a reserve member, and we'll call you when the entire team spontaneously combusts." So they settle for that. Oh right, but there's still that bit with Rainbow Joe to resolve, so that's resolved by him placing himself as the advisor for Team Fjosengard's club, thus completely solving any issues he might have had with miners fighting space monsters, and having a portal to the moon. So all is well and swell proper, but wait, the glass on Donna Troy's wristwatch suddenly cracks. Could this mean? Yes, that's it. It's a stupid way to add tension to the end of an episode. Oh, speaking of, there's apparently a new space monster who's teaching at Donna Troy's old school, which I guess he forgot about. They sorta just cut that storyline short. Well, this monster's a ram, so I'll call him French Fry Beard, tentatively. And that's the arc. My thoughts? You can completely nullify a decent pair of episodes with some terrific fight scenes by having glass on a wristwatch crack open for ominous effect. Next time Fours probably bores, or else Fours fights boars. Actually, that's very unlikely, since he's gonna fight a ram. Shut up, me. Until then, good night, and go, Gadget Spring!